Welcome back to Galaxy Recaps. Today we'll be diving into an action thriller film titled Hunter Killer. Enjoy the recap. The movie kicks off with a high-stakes moment as the USS Tomba Bay submarine stealthily trails the Russian submarine Koenig in the Barents Sea. Even though it's just 400 yards away from its target, the American sub remains undetected. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocks the USS Tomba Bay, but the crew quickly realizes they're not under attack from the Koenig. Instead, an unidentified submarine is attacking them from above. In a desperate bid to evade the incoming torpedo, the crew scrambles to descend to a safe depth, but it's too late. The deadly projectile strikes the USS Tomba Bay. Admiral John Fiske receives alarming news. The USS Tomba Bay is unaccounted for. This is highly concerning given that the submarine's communication equipment is functional, and there are no reports of adverse weather conditions in the area. The sub is now 2 hours overdue for its scheduled check-in. Fiske shares this troubling information with Admiral Charles Donegan, who expresses even greater worry about the classified technology aboard the vessel. While out hunting, Joe Glass receives an urgent call instructing him to prepare for a helicopter ride to the base. Upon arrival, he learns that he is to assume command of the USS Arkansas. Ex O'Brien Edwards hands Glass an envelope containing orders from the 6th Fleet. After reviewing the contents, Captain Joe Glass directs Edwards to recall the crew immediately. Edwards points out that the crew has been granted a 2-day leave, making it difficult to find them. Glass assures him he'll help start the search. As Joe Glass's submarine is being prepped and torpedoes are being loaded, he heads inside to inspect the crew and equipment. He announces the mission to locate the missing warship submarine and lays out his leadership style and expectations. As a maverick, he is ready to push his team to their limits to accomplish the task. Admiral Fiske is approached by Jane Norquist, a member of the National Security Agency. She informs him of the urgent need to brief the president within the next hour. Despite her efforts to gather information from the Navy, she has been unsuccessful. Fiske reveals that 2 explosions were detected at the Kola Peninsula, precisely where the U.S. submarine went missing. Norquist discloses that they've been monitoring the movements of the Russian president, who left for the location with his core security team just before the explosions occurred. Apparently, he was scheduled to meet with his defense minister, Durov. We shift to Tajikistan, where 4 Navy SEALs are running a training operation. Their commander, Beeman, leads them through the course and instructs Martinelli to get to a sniper position. Martinelli fails to make it in time and gets a stern scolding. Later, the commander is handed a document ordering him to head to Russia to investigate the submarine disappearances and track the president's movements. Glass is informed by Cobb that the crew is on board and ready to go. Cobb tries to give Glass a good luck coin for this mission, but Glass refuses, saying he only carries 1 coin in his pocket, the one he got from his previous submarine. The USS Arkansas is now en route to the Barents Sea. Glass commands the sub to submerge and set the depth to 300 feet. Upon arrival at the Polyarny Naval Base, Zakharin, the president of Russia, meets with his defense minister Durov, who informs him that Washington has reached out. Durov further adds that they held off on responding until the president's arrival. The USS Arkansas advances to a position within 40 miles of the Russian coast. Glass alerts his team that they may not be the first ones in the area and directs the deployment of a sea scan. Soon after, the device detects something. As they approach, they discover the wrecked U.S. submarine and the deceased crew members. Glass instructs Jimenez, the operator, to move the sea scan towards the bow to investigate the damage. To his surprise, he finds a colossal hole, seemingly caused by a torpedo attack. Glass orders his crew to take their battle stations and tasks a soldier with composing a message stating that the USS Tomba Bay was sunk due to enemy action. As the sea scan operates, it detects an unusual sound from above. Unbeknownst to them, a submarine equipped with torpedoes is lurking, waiting to strike. The Russians launch 2 torpedoes, but the USS Arkansas submarine evades them using countermeasure devices. Glass orders his crew to retaliate, but they struggle to pinpoint the exact location of the enemy vessel due to interference on the surface. The Russian submarine strategically positions itself between icebergs. After multiple attempts to locate it, they finally succeed. They redirect a torpedo towards the target, successfully striking and destroying the Russian submarine in a spectacular explosion. Despite destroying the Russian submarine, the USS Arkansas is not yet out of danger, as two torpedoes continue to approach. Glass realizes they must devise a plan to avoid getting hit, and decides to move the submarine to the position of the USS Tomba Bay. As the torpedoes draw closer, the USS Arkansas executes a sharp, evasive maneuver to the right, causing the torpedoes to collide with the USS Tomba Bay instead. The resulting explosion is powerful enough to be felt inside the USS Arkansas and could have potentially been the end for them. Upon learning that their submarine has been sunk by the Americans, the Russian president is advised by Durov to retaliate immediately. However, Zakharin insists he will not attack without first speaking with the US president. Meanwhile, the message from the USS Arkansas reaches Admiral Fisk, revealing that the USS Tomba Bay was deliberately attacked by the Russians. Admiral Charles Donegan authorizes Fisk to position the nearest carrier battle group and informs him that he has already dispatched a Navy SEAL team led by Lieutenant Bill Beeman to Russia to find out their intentions. As they fly on top of storm clouds, the SEAL team throws their gear out of the plane and jumps out one by one. They soar through the storm clouds with lightning all around them and manage to stick the landing and reach their target location. They successfully position themselves in a safe location and deploy a surveillance device. However, they are initially unable to obtain clear footage due to heavy interference in the area. After a few moments, they successfully eliminate the interference and finally spot Durov, who seems to be on a mission of his own. Zakharin is angered by the deployment of the destroyer, which he did not authorize. Durov explains that they may be under attack and, as a precautionary measure, has sealed off the base and terminated all communication. This is when Zakharin realizes that Durov is conducting a coup d'état. He and his men are taken outside, where they begin to execute his men. The Navy SEAL team and personnel watching the live footage witness this horrifying scene. The president is immediately briefed on Durov's intentions to start a war by making it look like the Americans are attacking. Admiral Donegan suggests that they must not allow Durov to gain a tactical advantage. Norquist believes they are dealing with a power-hungry man waiting for the Americans to engage. Fisk suggests rescuing the Russian president and taking him back to Moscow to reclaim his position and end the conflict. With a team already in position, the president orders the closest carrier fleet into position, preparing for possible confrontation. Once more, the C-scan is deployed and locates the sunken Koenig, the Russian submarine. Glass and his team are stunned by the sight of a hole on the bow, seemingly caused by a torpedo attack. However, the USS Tomba Bay denies having fired at the vessel. Closer inspection reveals that the attack was internal, indicating a deliberate destruction to create the illusion of an American attack. Glass is determined to rescue any survivors, despite his team's reservations. They fear Russian retaliation, but Glass insists that if the Russians had no involvement, they would have attempted to save Koenig. Glass orders the launch of Mystic to get closer to the Russian submarine. The heavy currents make it difficult, but Mystic safely attaches to the submarine. Upon opening the hatch, they discover 3 Russian survivors on the brink of death due to hypothermia. Glass welcomes them aboard and orders medical attention. He also isolates the captain of the Russian submarine, declaring them prisoners of war until further notice. Glass briefs his team on a new mission. They are to travel to the heavily guarded Polyarny base, pick up a Navy SEAL team, and rescue the Russian president. Their biggest challenge is reaching the location undetected, no matter how cautious they are. To help navigate the treacherous waters, they need the assistance of a local navigator. Glass approaches the Russian captain they rescued earlier for help. Despite the captain's belief that the Americans were responsible for destroying their submarine, Glass presents evidence that the explosion originated from a torpedo inside the submarine, and seeks his assistance in rescuing Zakharin. Captain Andropov now takes control of the submarine, as he knows the area better than anyone. Edwards is furious about this plan and finds it reckless, as they will be exposing classified information. Despite the protest, Glass gives Andropov the authority. As they go through a minefield with complete trust in the captain's navigation skills, they make it through the trench safely. Glass instructs 2 men to wait and rescue the SEAL team and the Russian president with Mystic. The SEAL team gets locked and loaded as they go through the water in their scuba gear. Once emerged, they begin assassinating the enemy one by one. They scale the wall, kill 3 men and plant explosives on the door, killing the man behind it. As enemies start rushing in, the Navy SEALs engage in intense combat, expertly eliminating the Russians. They grab the president and climb down the wall, setting up a trap that goes off, causing chaos. They dive into the water and swim to the other side as the sun starts to rise. The Russians then get into multiple vehicles to ambush them as they approach a bridge ahead of the SEALs. The soldiers are suddenly ambushed and caught in a barrage of bullets and machine gun fire, forcing them to take cover. Pinned down, the SEALs find themselves in dire straits until the Russians begin to fall dead around them. The SEALs spot their sniper perfectly positioned, taking out Russian soldiers with precision marksmanship. Seizing the opportunity, the SEALs destroy enemy vehicles before making their escape. 2 soldiers guide the president to Mystic, but as they make their way, one of the soldiers is killed. Zakharin enters the mini-submarine and safely sits inside while the remaining soldier goes back to the shore to rescue the stranded sniper. Meanwhile, the USS Arkansas picks up a strong sonar beat, which Captain Andropov identifies as a Russian warship. The warship initiates an attack, and Andropov and Glass must work together to survive the Russian assault. In an effort to evade the pursuing enemy, the submarine descends to the seafloor. While this maneuver provides temporary safety, it also inflicts damage on the USS Arkansas. With the Russian warship Yevchenko closing in, the crew has no choice but to allow Captain Andropov to communicate with his former comrades. He urges the captain of Yevchenko to stand down, revealing that he is on board the U.S. submarine. Despite Durov's demands to destroy the USS Arkansas, the captain of Yevchenko defies orders and stops the attack. In the final moments, Glass receives a direct order from Admiral Donegan to fire at Yevchenko, leading to a tense standoff. Soon after, Polyarny Naval Base launches a missile attack against the USS Arkansas under Durov's directive. However, Yevchenko intercepts the missiles just before they hit their target. In response, the warship launches a missile attack on Polyarny, ultimately destroying the heavily fortified base and Durov's command center. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.